5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Welcome to Speaking Cinema, serious movie Jibber Jabber, a movie podcast. I am your host, and with me are the clown Matt Fondacaro.
Hello.
And Kevin Capsule Merritt.
Capsule? What is that?
What are these? Good thing you asked. These are references to this week's Jibber Jabber. Neo Tokyo is about to explode. 1988's Akira.
I see what you did.
Yeah. All right, we'll get into it. We'll get into it. But so. Neo Tokyo is about to explode. 1988's Akira. That's really the tagline. Also a potential spoiler. Question mark. Spoiler alert. Exclamation point. If you're not familiar, a secret military project endangers Neo Tokyo when it turns a biker gang member into a rampaging, psychotic, psionic psychopath that only 2 kids and a group of psychics can stop. That is the synopsis for this movie. I don't think any synopsis can really encapsulate this movie. But we'll get into it. Akira is written and directed by, and I apologize to anyone who's listening to this, Katsuhiro Omoto, who also wrote the manga that this movie is based off of. The movie came out in '88. The manga concluded in 1990. So, interestingly, the movie was completed before the work it was based on was completed. But by the same guy. So, should be one guy's vision. The manga is 2,000 pages long, and as such, the film and the comic are reported to be very different. Akira is an interesting animated movie. The first animated movie we've had on the show. Most anime is done with what could be described as a limited animation technique, and you guys, anyone knows what I'm talking about here. In anime, mouths kind of just move up and down. People fly through the air, and it's a static shot, and there's chevrons behind them.
Yeah.
That
Chevrons?
like stripes.
The stripes.
Yeah, stripes,
and
then they move. Like the Chevron gas station.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Chevrons, and then there's static images that are panned across for effect. A lot of times when someone's getting punched, and they'll have audio, but it'll pan across. You guys know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, we're familiar with that.
Oh, you are.
Yeah,
Okay.
Watched a lot of Dragon Ball Z when I was growing up.
We'll get to it. What you may not know, and by you guys, everyone who hasn't listened to this, who hasn't seen Akira, including Matt,
I have not seen it.
Akira is divergent from the standard of simple animation. The animation is very detailed. The movement of objects have a sense of physics. Mouths move very authentically. There's a futuristic city that is epic in scale and detail. The screen is filled with movement. The violence is realistic, brutal, and upsetting. The backgrounds are lush and detailed. There's just a real weight. Light feels like light. It has an extra sense to it that makes it feel very real. And it's just a really technically astounding movie. It's what I'm trying to get at.
And all hand drawn. This was
Back in the day.
Any kind of computer CGI work. Every frame was hand drawn.
There is a CGI element to it. It's when they're measuring Akira's power, and it's that weird circly thing that looks like water drop.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
but you're correct.
The hyper detailed city background
Is all by
hand-drawn.
ingenuity.
Yes.
So Akira is a seminal animated film, seminal anime film as well. It's credited as the first anime to be an international hit on home entertainment, thanks in its part to its success on VHS. It's a very adult movie with adult themes, an adult tone, violence, and an unusual narrative. It's very dense. And I will say, personally, it gets better with repeated viewings. And we'll see how that goes with me and Kevin's repeated viewing and Matt's first time. And it's a very influential movie, and it actually influenced live action movies like The Matrix, Chronicle, and Looper, just to name a few. As of this recording, the movie is not available on Netflix. It's a Criterion movie, so I was surprised to find it was not available on Hulu Plus.
There's a laser disc.
Yeah, and Hulu Plus's Criterion is not complete Criterion.
Right.
I will be canceling our subscription shortly at the conclusion of this podcast.
Mostly just
Unless Hulu wants to give us money,
Janus
please.
films that are under license from Janus and not, because a lot of other movies are licensed through other studios, but they have their own separate licensing or collection that they can stream. But there are a lot of movies that are Criterion that are not on Hulu, which is upsetting.
Speaking of not upsetting, you could buy it on Amazon, iTunes, Google, and Vudu. Physical discs exist as well. Get those where you get them. Support your local record shop unless it sucks.
But Amoeba is great.
Amoeba Music.
That's our local one here in LA. Amoeba Music
the
on
only
Sunset. Love it.
A 2-story block of just endless amounts of entertainment.
Yeah,
I
so-
But
spent
outside,
many
it's
time, many
kind
dollars
of weird.
Yes. Moving on. So, Akira, 1988. Have you heard of this movie? Yes or no? Kevin.
Yes.
Matt.
I've heard of it.
I have also heard of it, in that I have seen it and owned it at one point. Speaking of me seeing it, have you seen it, Kev?
Yes, I have.
How many times would you say?
Oh, probably I would say
And I-
4 or 5 all the way
And
through.
I feel like that's a weird question, 4 or 5 all the way through. I feel like it's a weird question, but this is a movie that I don't know if one viewing is adequate.
Absolutely
I think it
not.
starts at one viewing.
Yeah.
That's the jumping off point. And then you gotta. I would also say I've probably seen it at least 3 to 4 times. I definitely went through a phase in college where I showed it to people and they
Yep.
got mad at me. Matt, I believe your number is 0. Is that
It
correct?
is 0. The only thing I knew about this movie is I think there was a commercial that used to play. I think it was on Cartoon Network. It was on some channel, but it was very explicit in saying that this is not for children. And then there would just be a cavalcade of a bunch of crazy shit happening on a screen and very seizure-inducing images, not unlike a Pokemon episode.
Racist. How did you go? This is a seminal movie. What do you think? There's a reason why you haven't seen it, or
I just think anime is a genre. I don't know if it's even a genre. Anime is
it's a genre? It's a genre of animation.
okay. It's a genre. Okay.
There's probably a lot of people who I'm upset with that comment. I regret nothing.
It's fine. I'm not really drawn towards anime. I don't really find it all that interesting.
It's interesting because this is such a different style of compared to really any anime that's come before. Since there's the most similar thing to it I would give credit to is maybe Ghost in the Shell. I'm not an anime connoisseur, which brings me to my next topic here. Are you guys anime fans? I mean, Matt has basically said no.
I mean, there's the thing about the anime is that when it first came out when we were growing up in like the 90s and there was all this anime coming out, it was usually really badly dubbed, and it was very off-putting because the mouths would be moving, like flapping incessantly, and it'd be this kind of really boring English kind of voiceover. But I think if I revisit and watch these, without being dubbed, just subtitles in Japanese, I think it'd probably be a lot more interesting. But when I was growing up, I never had interest in it because I didn't like the dubbing aspect.
So you're saying you became aware of anime probably like when we were in middle school.
Yeah, like shows like Speed Racer and Robotech, and things on like on cartoon.
Robotech.
Toonami.
Yeah, fuck yes.
A great block.
Yeah.
High five.
High fives all around.
High five. This is always a high five.
Okay. I mean, that's where anime came out. Dragon Ball Z. Like that's when in Sailor Moon. That's when you became aware of anime.
Dragon Ball Z and Sailor Moon. Kev, when did you become aware of anime?
Anime in general or Akira?
Anime in general.
Anime in general.
Let's go. MLA formatting. We'll go general to specific.
Okay. Yeah, I would say.
I'm glad you took pity and laughed at that joke.
Yeah, I would say a lot. Toonami really introduced me to it. Dragon Ball Z. I don't know if either of you heard of this. Samurai Pizza Cats.
No.
Does anybody remember that show?
Negative.
Vaguely. Is it the same vein as Biker Mice from Mars?
Except
or just a name only?
it's just. It was,
I don't know what you're talking about, but all I'm going to say is Street Sharks. Drop the mic. Drop the mic.
Street Sharks. Great action figures. Street Sharks.
They were.
I don't know, bro.
We'll save that for the action figure podcast.
Mighty Ducks.
Yeah,
That was
so by the way, everyone, if you like this show, you're gonna love talking serious furniture Jibber Jabber, our furniture podcast, talking cola, which is our soda podcast, but we also does not cola, and then now our next podcast, which is
Action figure podcast.
Untitled Action Figure Podcast.
With an emphasis on street.
Can we make up a new podcast that we're not gonna do every movie that we go on from now? Can that be a thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do it.
I'm all
Okay.
for it.
All right. We'll see if we can organically meld that into the thing.
Or force it. It's fine.
Or force it in a way that is off-putting and terrible. So you became aware of anime, you'd say middle school, elementary school.
Yeah, probably elementary school.
Yeah, I'm trying to think about what the first when I first understood what the difference between, American animation and Japanese animation was. I wanted to say maybe Speed Racer on MTV when they played it in the 90s. And I remember loving it, and then later in life revisiting it and not loving it. But
it's out there.
But we'd have minimum days every Wednesday, and I'd go home and watch Toonami, and or it was called something else at the time, I think. But yeah, I got really into Robotech, and I loved Robotech.
I was really into Gundam Wing. That was
Gundam Wing, and then Voltron.
Voltron.
Was it
Defenders of the Universe?
Yeah, no, but the robot that comes together, it's like Power Rangers, but less shitty.
Yeah.
No putties.
Yeah. Take that, Saban.
May he rest in peace.
He's not dead. He's kicking it.
Should be.
Suing Joseph
Just kidding,
Kahn.
Saban, if you're listening, which you're not.
Yeah, why do you gotta alienate everyone that we
I'm sorry, Saban.
Yeah, apologize to Mr. Saban.
I want Turbo Power Rangers movie 2 coming out soon.
Listen, and this is not an exclusive, but they are working on it.
I like it. I'm into it. Okay,
I have expected you. I have expected you to be greatly disappointed.
I probably will be.
So what did you? Okay, so we're talking anime. I feel like Matt, would you say that you actively watch anime? I mean, I think me and Kev.
I don't actively watch. I don't. Like,
No. At the time, back in the day.
Oh, back in the day. No, I didn't. It was like you said. If Robotech or Voltron or any of those shows were on Cartoon Network after school, I catch them and watch them. They're interesting, And eventually, when Pokemon came on.
Oh yeah, Pokemon.
And then we really got into that. But I was always more drawn towards like American animation.
Well, we did like the Pokemon video games, though.
I like the show too. It was entertaining. But
the show was amusing. It fed into my love of the game. It was like, oh, you find somebody in the game, you're like, oh, they were on the show, great, or vice versa.
So I feel like so Matt, not so much. I feel like me and you, Kev, we were into it.
I definitely had ones I didn't like, though. Was that I didn't consume all anime.
Sure. But like, is there anything that you were particularly off put by?
I never got into Sailor Moon.
I will. I'm not ashamed of this. It's all love. I did like Sailor Moon, except for fuck Tuxedo Mask. That guy didn't do shit.
Tuxedo Mask.
Eat
a dick.
Yeah, you need to get your game together. You are useless. It's all about Sailor Moon and her sailor friends, which none of them I can name at this moment.
But you'll see them at every cosplay event.
Yeah, and deservedly so. Tuxedo Mask, get a life.
Fuck Tuxedo Mask.
Yeah, I think that's what... Tune in next week to our Fuck Tuxedo Mask podcast.
Just ranting and ravings of 3 lunatics about a character.
We're going to watch every episode of Sailor Moon, and we're going to just fucking take apart that goddamn Tuxedo Mask. Anyways, so you like Sailor Moon.
That was like ones I liked and ones I didn't like. Yeah. It was the thing. So, but
Tuxedo Man. No.
But one more thing. I would say I actively, I would watch anime and I would look for other shows. My brother was the same way as well.
Yeah, I feel like in a pre-internet age that we grew up in, I feel like I was always looking for more anime, and it was always hard to find. I remember PBS at the time in the Bay Area had Key the Metal Idol, which was like this very bizarre. To my recollection. In my recollection, it was a very bizarre anime. It would come out at like 1 a.m. on Saturday night. It was like, it was like a girl who was like a robot, and she would like take off her clothes and fight other robots. It was nuts.
I do not know that one.
Yeah. So I feel like my childhood was not that this was my main thing, but I was always looking for anime. It was a very interesting subgenre of entertainment that was more adult in my mind's eye and just very interesting. Matt, still not interested.
I mean, anime. It is what it is. It's a very interesting style. I do enjoy that Boondocks, the animated series. So borrows a lot from that.
Yeah. So jumping to now. So you're more into like the American. There's probably a term for this that I'm not aware of, but like American animation that's done in the style of anime. Like personally, I love Avatar: The Last Airbender. I feel like that is a seminal show that holds up to compared to anything that's ever been on TV.
M. Night Shyamalan?
He made a movie, and that movie is
with the kid from Slumdog Millionaire just yell all the time.
Yeah. So if things can be, like when they talk about how much money a movie is made, and it's like weighted for inflation.
Yeah.
If you could weight the creative elements of a movie, I feel like that is maybe the worst movie of all time. in terms of the source materials
do not
based off
disagree.
of talent involved. Just that should have been great, and it was just such a disappointment. But yes, that is that's the show that I'm talking about.
Yeah, an influence in American animation coming from Japan, right?
Huh? Yes, and yeah, it was that Americaned anime again.
Yes.
I'm sure there's a term for this. I don't know. You can't Google.
Coined it right now.
Yeah, I can't Google it. Maybe I could, but I won't. So in terms of anime in these days, Kev, you watch anything? You like anything? I mean, Netflix has a big anime section. Attack on Titan, very popular.
That's all I've been
All the
hearing
kids love
about. All the kids talk about Attack on Titan. I have not dug into that, but I'll check it out. I mean, I'm all about Studio Ghibli and Hayao Miyazaki. I think.
Oh yeah, with the Kiki's livery server. That was that was a cute one. I guess it's.
That's one of their cute ones.
Matt betrays himself, and here comes the back pedal. But
Oh yeah, okay. I didn't even think about his movies. No, I like those movies. They're very.
Howl's Moving Castle.
I've only seen the one though, but the one I saw I liked.
Yeah,
I mean,
Spirited
we're
Away.
missing the big ones: Spirited Away, Princess Mononoke, My Neighbor Totoro. I mean, that guy has such a grand vision and such a
I mean,
an
that's-
unparalleled imagination. His movies to me are fascinating.
What was the one? Ponyo?
Ponyo.
Yeah, Ponyo was great too.
Ponyo. I'll do the whole song.
Sing it.
No.
Okay.
But I would say if I did have a favorite, or if I did like with the anime, it would be like the Kiki's Delivery Service, and I think his movies are very much it's an anime version of a Disney movie, which is an interesting take on it because it's very grand and epic, and it's full of interesting characters, and the style is great.
And he's not only influenced by anime, he's influenced by a lot of American, European films and tropes. Like, his movies don't always take place in Japan, they take place in Europe, or they take place in these big fantastical lands that don't look like anything that we've ever seen before. So he takes a lot of cues from a lot of different stuff. He's not just exclusive to, like, I'm only doing these Japanese anime tropes.
So basically, what you guys are saying is Miyazaki is basically your favorite.
He's my guy.
Yeah,
but
he's
there
your
are
guy.
a
I'd
lot
say he's
of
my guy if of the anime.
a great
game.
series to get into is Samurai Champloo, which I believe is streaming on Netflix. Don't quote me on that, but I think it is. But
And this is by the creator of Cowboy Bebop.
yes,
Yes.
I believe so. It's a very almost hip hop take on anime. It has if the Wu-Tang Clan could make their ultimate anime show, it would be Samurai Champloo. It has humor. It has these crazy beats in the music that are really cool, and it's a very also Smokey checking out to see
That's
if
sweet.
Samurai Champloo is available.
You're hearing all the clicking and clacking.
If you hear some clicking and clacking, that's me, bros. I have no idea how to spell Champloo.
CHAMPL 0
Lowercase 0.
I am not finding that in.
Well,
Can I-
they're also available on DVD, so you can pick them.
You can find it. It exists.
It exists, but yeah, that's also
I
great.
can confirm that it does exist.
That's a great long form. It was a series that went on for a few seasons, and a story about two samurais and a ditzy girl traveling across Japan. Just great comedy, great action, very well made story. So I also recommend seeking that out.
I didn't really like Samurai Champloo. I got really into Cowboy Bebop, which I love.
Yep.
Which is an anime that I really like. I got really. I was into Ninja Scroll. That was another good one from the whatever. I was into it when I was in high school, so early 2000s. I don't know when it came out. And then Ghost in the Shell, which is another seminal anime movie, and this movie we're talking about now, Akira, which is those I'd say those are my handful of things. Also, just started Attack on Titan on Netflix. Really digging that.
So check it out.
Yeah, so I feel like and Miyazaki is obviously great. I don't have anything against him.
Yeah, I feel a lot of people these days just get when you say the word anime, they immediately just turn it off, and I think that's the wrong reaction. It's just like anything else. There's good stuff, there's bad stuff, but I think they explore really interesting terrain and use a lot of different styles that you don't see in American animation or American storytelling. So they're worth seeking out. It can't get turned off just because it's subtitled or it's dubbed over or it's from another country.
And I think on that point, there's I thought of another one, Guyver. I was using the Guyver.
Guyver. I remember that.
Guyver was very repetitive, but it was extremely violent, so they made up for it.
And then Mark Hamill starred in the movie version.
Yeah, we don't need to talk about how terrible that shit was.
It aired on the Sci-Fi Channel.
Spoiler alert, that shit was terrible.
Saturdays at 1 p.m. usually.
Yeah. But
Packaged with Sharknado.
They wish.
This is back when sci-fi was spelled SCI-FI.
So this is the dark days.
Hey, that's where I discovered Mystery Science Theater 3000.
Yeah,
So
can't be mad at that.
can't be mad at that.
Always forgiven.
Yeah, and I think I think that people do definitely have a view of anime, that is, it's very Japanese in the sense of it's very of another culture, and I think people think of it as cutesy and repetitive, like Pokemon or Speed Racer, but I think there is more to it than that. My tastes kind of go with the more adult, violent, dark, but yeah, but there's also what Miyazaki brings to the table, which is very fanciful, akin to a kind of a Walt Disney sense of being a isolated, like, what's the word I'm looking for here? He's his own thing. There's him and then there's everyone else.
Yeah, it's
Very unique.
Yeah.
Somebody said he has a style that can be aped, so to say, and people have done it. So
Yeah. So, but we're not talking about Miyazaki. We'll talk about him on another podcast. But going back to Akira real quick, Matt obviously heard of it, hasn't seen it. When did you come learn about Akira?
So much like Alien, it was VHS my brother.
Nice.
And he was the really stuff we watched on TV, and he was really the one that really introduced me to anime. And he had Akira. I don't remember how he heard about it. Probably from whatever anime magazine or anything that he knew, he heard about it. And so that was my first exposure, and that was really my first exposure to the dark, violent anime, and probably the first animated movie I ever saw that I was like, whoa, this is not just a kid genre. Like, you can do really adult, heady, violent stuff with animation. That really changed the way I looked at movies and influenced my taste a lot.
Yeah, not my brother's VHS, but similarly, Blockbuster. Go to Blockbuster and eventually Hollywood Video, but Hollywood Video hadn't come yet on El Camino Real.
Yes, the infamous one that all the sun damaged VHSs.
Oh yeah, they were ruined.
That was my Blockbuster.
Yeah, so
a lot of faded boxes.
Me and my brother would go to a Blockbuster. We would just look at the cover arts, and pick out stuff, and then specifically with anime, they were all put up by that company Manga.
Yep.
And we would pop it in. I don't know how I heard about whatever. I was watching something, and I would live for those couple trailers in the beginning of the movie, right? And that would set you off to go find something. I remember seeing one for Perfect Blue, but I couldn't find it. I couldn't find Perfect Blue. Sorry, and I haven't seen that movie to this day.
A great film, by the way, Perfect Blue.
Yeah,
highly recommend.
You see that, you'd see these bizarre trailers that were very stylized, very artistic. And I remember specifically seeing Akira's and hearing that Akira music and just being blown away. Like, what is this? And I had to seek it out. Luckily, it was right next to, right there on the shelf, and I took it home. I had to be VHS because I remember being very excited when I found the DVD copy later in life. So I probably saw it on VHS at home, late 90s, and had my fucking brain explode. Yeah. Still haven't seen it, man.
Still haven't seen it.
All right, so we'll wrap this up with rapid fire. I'm going to do this or that. Feel free to respond if you don't know what I'm talking about. You got to pick something.
Okay.
Looking at you, Funakaro. All right, cartoons, family or adult?
Adult. Or can I say both?
Yeah, I was gonna say both.
Listen, there's no other than the rules I've just said. There's no rules. So do whatever you want.
No, both. I think they both have their good qualities to them, are worth seeking out.
Yeah, they're both. They both appeal to both sets. the kids and the adults.
I'm gonna go ahead and agree with that, and we'll all just take the middle ground.
Yeah.
Animation, U.S. or Japan?
I would say U.S.
U.S. I would ultimately say.
I'm gonna dissent and just go Japan, just to be a naysayer.
But that's no knock
fine.
against Japan animation, which
That is a knock against U.S. animation.
Vehemently against it.
Yeah. Goku or Vegeta?
oh, Goku.
Goku.
That dude was he was
Fucking
great.
Vegeta, bro. The power level can't be measured. Miyazaki or Disney? There is no both. You can't say both.
Miyazaki.
Disney.
I'm gonna say neither.
All right. There's no both, but there's certainly a neither.
Yeah. Chick-cha. Pikachu or Snorlax?
Snorlax.
Well, let's pick Pikachu.
Snorlax for life.
Yes.
He doesn't do anything.
There's a fantastic Snorlax beanbag that you can buy online.
I mean, that makes sense.
Yeah.
quite comfy.
That just makes sense.
And you put it right next to your Totoro beanbag.
Inuyasha or Big O?
Neither. Mainly because I don't know what Big O is.
Yeah, I don't know what those are.
I'm gonna go with Big O.
Inuyasha is one of those I never latched on to.
Here's a and again you can't say both and you can't say neither. Heavy metal or Fritz the Cat?
Oh, heavy metal. No.
Heavy metal.
Heavy metal.
Metal. Robert Crumb disowned Fritz the Cat.
Yeah, Fritz the Cat, by the way. Ugh.
Is this the first-
Heavy metal, by the way.
Is
Yeah.
this the first one we've actually agreed all on?
Yeah, we've all agreed on it. High fives,
Look
everyone.
at us.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ah.
Toonami or Adult Swim?
Adult Swim.
Adult Swim.
Yeah, Adult Swim. Why not?
Yeah.
Sailor Moon or Pokemon?
Pokemon.
Pokemon.
Yeah, I'll go Pokemon.
Yeah.
Why not?
Ghost in the Shell or Fist of the North Star?
I have not seen Fist of the North Star.
I have not seen either of those.
So Ghost
That
in
is
the
not
Shell.
that is not an answer.
So
Ghost in the Shell
Ghost in the
is
Shell.
Neither.
Ghost in the Shell.
I also like Ghost in the Shell 2. I thought that was an interesting movie.
Robotech or Voltron?
Voltron.
Voltron.
Robotech. And last, but certainly not least, Tetsuo or Kaneda?
Kaneda!
Neither.
Tetsuo! All right, so that wraps it up. I feel like we rambled a lot on this one, but that's okay.
a big genre to
Or maybe
attack.
no one's listening and it's not okay. But it's a big genre. We went on the most seminal work in the entire genre, arguably, and I don't know.
It's a film that really directed I feel that was a coming of age viewing experience for me. Like just seeing the world.
So we're gonna make Matt a man, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
My rite of passage comes tonight.
Matt is gonna be a man.
Alright.
Yeah, it's the first super violent animated movie, and it really changed my perspective of what a movie could do.
Cool.
All right. Well, here we go.
So we're back. Akira.
Yeah.
Just watched it, hot off the press.
Hot off the press.
So, let's start off. Low energy in this room right now. Let's start off with how'd you see it?
Borrowed your DVD.
Oh, you did you?
I did.
Yeah.
So yeah, watched it for probably the first time in I would say about 10 years.
10 years.
It's been a while.
It's probably been a similar amount of time for me. I watched my version that I let you borrow before I let you borrow it.
Yeah.
A DVD, we should say, not a Blu-ray or anything.
It is available on Blu-ray, celebrating its 25th anniversary.
Right. Which I believe has a different dub, which would be interesting. Matt, how'd you see it?
Okay, so first, I couldn't find it, couldn't get a copy, so I found it on YouTube. I watched about 10 minutes of it, and I'm like, I can't. It was so bad. Like there was like a layer of like grime on like permanently on the image. So I decided to shell out the $2.99 on Amazon and watched it that way.
Okay.
Because it also cut out the prologue of the movie of what happens. It
Yeah.
just when I watched it on YouTube, it just
There's
Akira
many-
then goes right into the scene in the bar.
Right. There's many reasons why you shouldn't watch movies on YouTube. That's probably the biggest one.
So
is that
just
quality control on YouTube with
does not exist.
does not exist.
So I shelled out the money.
Oh wait, we should say you shell out the money.
Shelled the money for it. It was Yeah, the dub was a lot better. No, actually, it wasn't. No, it wasn't dubbed. It was subtitles.
So you did Japanese with subtitles.
Yes,
That's pretty intense for the first time.
it was pretty wild.
And HD or SD?
HD.
HD.
Nice.
Dub or Jap?
The English dub.
Please.
I watched the English dub.
Also, that wasn't a thing. I thought we would talk, so I didn't want to talk over Kevin.
Yeah.
Racist.
We'll edit that out. No one will ever know. So Japanese. Let me finish, goddamn you. Japanese with English subtitles or English dub?
English dub.
Okay, I started mine English dub, and then about a third way through, I was like, no, I want to do it with the subtitles, and I turned the subtitles on.
All right.
With the Japanese audio. Japanese audio.
We don't think you're racist. It's okay.
Okay, great. Of everyone here, I'm the least racist, which is a racist thing to say. Okay, so normally how I like to start this was saying what happens in this movie, a quick plot summary. With this movie, more than any other we'll probably ever do, it's a little bit tougher. So does anyone want to try?
No.
I'm gonna give it a try.
Okay, I have one written here too, so I might talk over you and make.
Okay, I'm gonna do the most basic plot summary of Akira. So, we open. It's in 1988 Tokyo. Some kind of explosion happens. We can assume it's like a nuclear bomb, and World War III starts. Mm-hmm. This is the prologue, by the way. And we fast forward 31 years to Neo Tokyo, which is built on a landfill in the ocean. And the first character we meet is Kaneda, who is the leader or member of a bike gang called the Capsules. And they get in a fight with this group called the Clowns, another rival bike gang. And in the middle of that fight, one of the members, Tetsuo, runs into this old-looking child.
Yeah, it was really creepy looking. I'm like, is that a baby?
Wait!
Little man.
Who explodes his bike, and Tetsuo is taken to the hospital. When he's taken to the hospital, the military finds that he has potential psychic powers that were that match the level of this mythical figure named Akira, who was a child who, with his psychic powers, actually caused that explosion that started World War III, supposedly. Tetsuo wakes up, realizes he has these psychic powers, and tries to use them to find Akira, and Kaneda and his team of people, as well as a resistance and the military, are all trying to stop him.
I think that's as good as anyone could possibly do with this movie. Yeah, and then Tetsuo goes on a rage through Neo Tokyo. The military fights him, and then it's eventually a showdown between him, the military, and Kaneda.
Which eventually ends with Tetsuo becoming his own universe and creating a Big Bang in a separate dimension.
That did happen.
Yeah, sure did.
I wish everyone could see the look on Matt's face of surprise. Matt,
that is a base summary of this movie.
and Akira may or may not have come back and help. So, Matt, what'd you think about this movie? First time, again.
It was my first time seeing it.
First time seeing it ever.
Yeah, I've seen commercials on Cartoon Network claiming this is not for children. They just have very bright flashing lights. I'm like, what is this? And so finally we get to watch it. I watched it.
You just really passed it over. Just went straight to heavy metal in the anime section as a child.
A little more coherent heavy metal was.
We'll see. We did that heavy metal episode.
But after a while, I had to just, because when you're watching a movie with subtitles and you're watching a movie like Akira, which is so heavily stylized and so much going on the screen, you kind of have to just stop looking at the subtitles and you just have to look at what's happening. So that's what I did. So that's why I was.
I think that's your first mistake.
So I was more or less. I mean, the nuances of the story I kind of were lost on me, and I understood the kind of the general idea of what it was trying to become. But otherwise, like, it was thoroughly enjoyable. It's, very, very good to look at. The animation's, pretty fantastic. So I enjoyed it when I was watching it. I'd probably watch it again just so I can understand exactly what's going on. But for first feeling, it was pretty great.
As someone who first watched this movie when he was a child and completely ignored the not for children warning on it,
as you should,
as you should always do. Rebel, kids. This was the first time.
By watching adult Japanese animation.
Stick it to your parents.
The most truest form of rebellion there is. Cigarettes, drinking,
Watch Akira.
rock and roll music, fucking, that's nonsense.
Yeah.
Watch Akira.
Watch Akira. This is the first time I really could appreciate the story and what it was trying to do, I think. And then even appreciate the animation even more with just how detailed and fluid it is compared to, especially a lot of anime coming out at that time. And stuff that came before it, which is very, like, you can tell they took the cheap road in a lot of the animation, reused a lot of animation, and this was like every frame was touched by human hands and was fluid and was just very stylized and grand and just no shortcuts in it. So, and I think I got more of the nuances and the big stuff in the story. So,
Yeah.
as a mature adult.
Yeah, I fucking love this movie. I loved it again. I take notes when we watch these movies on paper here.
Paper.
And
Good paper noise.
and I really just watching this movie and didn't have that much to write down. I was just really enjoying
I was
it.
the same way. It didn't
Yeah.
really take a lot.
I literally wrote down, I love watching this. And it's just like the biggest movie. It's just the most epic movie. You know what I mean? And I forgot how funny it can be. And there's just really great humor in it. It's super heavy. For the first time, and I think this is different than how you, Matt, had what your experience was. For the first time, it wasn't as dense as it was for me in the past.
Yeah,
which
I
is probably
agree.
just familiarity after seeing it so many times, because.
You can prepare yourself for some images you're about to see.
It might have been in researching this show. I got other people's take on things, and I think that especially we'll get into it in a minute. But there's a scene where Kai, who is the terrorist / resistance young member, is like an Esper, which is the creepy children. That's the name of the creepy children, the Espers. One of them is possessing her, and she's explaining how the power of Akira works, and she's talking about fucking power, and what if a amoeba had the power of a human, and power is memories, and memories can in the Big Bang, and blah blah blah. And I think as a kid I was like, yeah, what? and now this time I was just kind of able to accept that, and it kind of explains the ending. Yeah, and Matt, you were saying before we started recording, you were saying that you had no idea that there's an episode of South Park with a Trapper Keeper that is basically this movie, the climax of this movie to
Giant
a T.
Play-Doh monster coming after everything.
If Play-Doh was made out of melted babies, melted toy babies, then yes.
And metal and wires.
Yeah.
Wouldn't be an anime without tentacles and all sorts of crazy shit coming out.
Yep.
One of the things I want to talk about in this movie is, you guys talked about this, and I just want to, it bears repeating, the animation in this fucking movie is so good. It's so good. It's shot like a live action movie. It's like the framing, the action, whatever. But it benefits of being anime, because instead of trying to have to figure out how someone could jump off the back of a bike and just outrun it, you could just draw that. You know what I mean? So it kind of goes. If you would make this live action, it would be and there's rumor that they're going to try, but
they have tried a few times.
It would be just the craziest fucking movie ever. But because of animation, you're able to like pull it off, right? You know what I mean?
A live action movie would cost like $300 million.
But that ain't my fucking problem, bro.
Warner Brothers, get on it.
Yeah, dicks. No, yeah, but I'm saying, like, there's such great animation scenes. Like, so there's a scene where Tetsuo steals Kaneda's bike, and they're going to go look for him, and then he over revs it, and they get caught by the clowns, which is a very disturbing scene when they punch Kai in the face, or Mai in the face. Oh man.
Yeah,
and then so Kaneda jumps off the back of a bike and outruns it, like runs instead of instead of falling over, and just the animation of that looks so, like, if that was to happen, that's how it would look. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's so great.
Like hyper realistic in an anime, which is pretty interesting. Also, the use of going in. Playing with space, how animation 2D, but they're making 3D
huge.
They're going Z-axis and everything, which is very, very interesting to do in animated.
Lots of different perspectives, like them racing down things, like
highways,
great shots of the city, and it's this towering city that is just many layers of animation on top. And one little animation I want to make was the advertisements in the beginning.
Yes,
looks so cool, and required probably so much time and effort for a shot that lasts maybe a second.
You're talking about like when they have the neon glowing signs.
Like neon glowing signs with holograms on them. It's just a lot of effort to
1
bring
second,
this world.
Yeah.
To
Also, you know,
screaming
in the
life.
jukebox at the beginning, all the rock and roll bands are real.
Yep.
The Doors and shit.
We got Led Zeppelin in there, so it's
Have to clear the rights on those. So one thing I noticed about this movie that I had never noticed until this time is that the timeline of this movie is very interesting. And it's like, in 1988, some catastrophic event happens. The city's destroyed. World War III starts. World War III ends. They rebuild the city, and then it falls apart again, like in terms of just being like shitty, dilapidated, and hyper corrupt. That all happens in 31 years, which is a very interesting. I never thought about that. You know what I mean? It's like the city was just. We see the destruction of the city, and then we see it. And we skip everything else, and now it's back on the decline. And it's an interesting thing. It's interesting. I think it has to do a lot with a lot of the thematic things going on here, where it's like you have this. Someone they made this in 30 years. In a war, with a war, they probably took some time out of that. They remade this metropolis, this huge, towering city, and then now it's all falling to shit. And it's like you have biker gangs, and I really feel like what do you guys think about that? Like just the world that they've built. And
I saw an interesting parallel because, especially at the end when, I guess Akira is creating the giant bubble that's destroying everything.
A big bang to a new universe, correct?
But and then how it destroys everything and it leaves a big crater and then all the water rushes in. I think, and then you see like the city being torn apart. I think it's kind of an underlying fear that a lot of Japanese people have because they live basically on a volcano, and you know they're in the Ring of Fire, so they fear earthquakes and tsunamis and all sorts of other crazy shit happening to their city. So that's like a big fear they have. So I think that's an interesting way they do that. I don't know
And it could be destroyed in a moment's notice.
Right. So that's why you have all this destruction where anything can just happen like that. And I maybe they're also playing off of, to kind of call back to the atomic bomb too in Japan.
Yeah.
But so there's all this destructive elements are happening in Japan, and this is the kind of a way of presenting it.
I do think that there is a reference to that in a certain way of like. Okay, so the military dude, I don't remember his name, Colonel Buzzcut, whatever he is.
With a little mustache?
With a little mustache. That guy. Also, that guy.
The general.
The general. He's talking about how, like, maybe they're not meant to understand the power, but they have to try. And it's kind of, you could talk about that in terms of, like, nuclear power. And I think he does even make that reference to nuclear, where he's like, men of science have to try to make this happen. Because we learned what it is, we have to try to master it and understand it and control it. And the Espers say that to Tetsuo. They're like, the power of Akira is in anyone, but you have to make the right choice. And they've all made the choice to kind of suppress their powers and not be destructive. And Tetsuo makes the mistake of, letting it control him and seeing where it'll go, and it absorbs him, and he ends up hurting a lot of people.
Great.
That's my thought on that. Anyone else have any?
Just to kind of piggyback on what Matt said, a lot of the destruction is seen at like a ground level, like from Canada's perspective, or the people on the streets perspective. So it's this
that guy who's just trying to deliver fish, and then all of a sudden a helicopter gets destroyed. That's my favorite. That's one of my favorite scenes of the movie.
Yeah.
Hey guy, I got a bunch of fresh fish here, and then wait, what? Come again? And then you see a helicopter crash, and then and he's walking out of the fire.
Yep.
So good.
But yeah, I think that's again playing on, this is a very personal, catastrophic event that is happening, and it captures that just fear really well in it. So, yeah, that's my perspective. I take it.
I kind of want to jump back to the way the action is drawn, because a lot of times you're having all this crazy shit happen, but then you have like random slow motion effects happening within the frame, but everything else is happening at normal speed. Like you'll see rubble, like falling up while the characters are doing normal things, like in an action scene. Just like very, very strange, very surreal.
When it's kind of an anime thing where when someone charges up their power, rocks will float up.
Mm-hmm. And also the way the action's framed, because a lot of times there'll be static shots of things happening, but it looks so dynamic. Like when the bridge is
it's like this
down,
faraway
and
shot, and all the bridge segments are.
And then the tank is like kind of it falling down, and then it explodes. But it's when you think of when you kind of compare that to a normal action movie where you'd have that happening, it'd be like cut.
Right.
You know, like, you know, Hulk coming
yeah.
in, throwing some shit, and, you know, like crazy 360 pans and all this other crazy shit. This is static.
Locked off.
Yeah, these are static shots of action happening, but it's so dynamic and thrilling, which is very.
Well, I also think that I think a lot of action movies are, you know, not as mean spirited as this movie. I mean, this movie is not afraid to be mean, like and tragic and sad. Like there's a scene where Tetsuo, it's right after the helicopter crashes. He's walking down the street, and the operator in the tank is like, what do you mean, like? Open fire, like he's just a kid, like you know, whatever. And then you can see him really struggle with the decision, and he shoots at him. You know, it doesn't kill the thing doesn't kill him.
Yeah.
They try to do it again, and it's malfunctioning, and then they try to scramble out of it, and then it explodes. And that explosion, you know, fucking, we see explosions all the time. Pretty soon we'll be seeing explosions in Last Action Hero. Those explosions are funny, and even though people are dying, it's silly. This is like, oh, that guy, you know.
There's a high body count.
It's a high body count, but
bridges fall, and you see people on these bridges struggling to get off, and they don't make it.
When bad things happen, they're portrayed as very bad.
Yes.
It's not like the bad guy is just, or it's not like these are people we don't care about, even though we've just met them. Like they suffer when they, and it's a fucking heavy movie. You know what I mean? Like,
I just want to add on to that, my favorite part, dealing with this sort of everyone not. It's not really a strong emotion behind the people, like reacting strongly, where it's like, oh my god. It's like when the guy comes in with the grenade and he's gonna like blow it up, and everyone's like, the fuck is this guy? And they just beat the shit out of him like unflinchingly. Like that was a funny scene, and two, just like kind of really sets the tone for the movie. And
So
really,
so the scene is the scene when they're in the police station. So the resistance guy goes full suicide bomber, and he pulls a grenade, and it doesn't go off. But everyone scrambles to get out of the way for fear of death. You think it's going to go off because this movie would do something like that. And then it doesn't go off, and then the police beat the shit out of him, and then they're like, take him in the back room, and then they drag him away, and there's just blood on the ground where, you know, his face just like...
Yep.
Yeah. So, yeah, sorry. So your point is that that's brutal.
It's brutal, but it's also a refreshing kind of look at dealing with... Because a lot of times people show fear and run away, but they're just embracing how terribly fucked up.
And everyone
crazy.
is happy when he gets beat up by the cops. Also, that scene ends hilariously where they get out. They arrested all these protesters, and this is a stupid biker gang, so they get him out, and he's hitting on the girl, and he's like, "Well, come on, like, duh," like teenage bullshit, and then all of a sudden,
you cold bitch.
You're just a cold bitch, and then there's an explosion in the police station in the back, and he turns around, and then they cut away. They don't explain it at all. And it's like, was that the grenade? Did that go off? Did a separate terrorist thing go off? It just explodes. He turns, what? And he turns around, and then we're somewhere else. You know what I mean? It's just they really sell you that this world is just like fucked up. It's just corrupt. It's run down. It's like, you know,
that school is dirty as hell.
Yeah, the school's all fucked up. They're like, it's a technical school. They're trying to learn about engines and shit.
There's graffiti everywhere. None of the professors give a shit.
But, you know, and I really like that. This movie, you know, it's based on the manga, and the manga goes into more details on everything. But, like, I really do feel like when they're in the police station, he calls him Pops, and the guy goes on this tirade about how he's only 25 and blah, blah, blah. And he's not even married yet. I feel like every time you see something in this movie, you feel like there's a whole story there, right? There's a whole story with the cult that worships Akira. There's a whole story with the resistance / terrorists. There's a whole story with the cops. There's a whole story with the biker gang. There's a whole story with the school. You know what I mean? Like, it feels like this huge world. It's like Star Wars in a way, where, you know, Star Wars, 77 New Hope, you know, you feel like you're just seeing tiny parts of this huge universe, and I feel the same way about Akira, where it's like, you feel like there could be a whole nother movie made about just people living in this high school that's all fucked up. You know what I mean? Discipline! The fucking coach is punching them, and you just know that, like, I feel like every character feels so fleshed out. Like, there's this fucking, you know, gym teacher guy who's like the disciplinarian, and he feels this way. You know, it's just like you get these little glimpses into it. Do you guys feel that way or no?
Absolutely. Like, there's so much going on in this world. It is its own little universe. Made by Tetsuo, but it's all these characters are so brilliantly drawn out, and there's those hints at like this world, this city is massive, and there's a lot going on, and this is one big slice of what's going on, but there's a million little stories in it, and it's just very like I said, like in Star Wars, you see one alien and you happen to learn that alien's name and you want to know everything about him. It's that kind of.
And his name's Greedo. Oh, he's dead.
Poor Greedo.
He's the equivalent of the biker gang guy who he falls off his bike and then.
And Tetsuo gives him a nice monkey wrench to the face.
Yeah.
Just
And they never come back to that. They're like, is that guy dead? And then like later you kind of see like some of them probably are dead, but they never. Like, the way that... So, when Kai shoots the cop in the face and he falls into, like, the sewer, like, Kaneda's kind of like, yeah, man, it's heavy when when you kill someone. We should really get some tea, you know what I mean? Like, he's just like...
Well, and she's petrified. Like, that's
Right.
the first person she's ever killed.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Matt, what do you think about this world? Did it strike you as being big and deep and bold, or no?
it did for the most part. There's like you said. I don't want to just repeat what you guys have just been saying.
You can disagree. Simply. You can just
No,
simply
I mean
agree.
I agree.
You can just tell me and Kevin that we're right, and we can just move on.
Okay, you guys are right.
All right, moving on.
Moving on.
No, you want to add anything or no?
No, I mean there's so much going on, and I think that maybe either they try to condense into one thing is, I guess that's fine, but yeah, I definitely like to see more about how this world works. It is a little confusing. You wonder, like, how does this world function? Because it is just like a straight up totalitarian thing where it's government, military versus rebellion.
Well, I mean, when they start off, again, because I've seen it so many times, and the subtitles helped, where they're talking about, like, the opening thing, there's riots because there's a tax reform that basically hurts the large amount of unemployed people. So it's kind of like America, in 2010, but violent, you know what I mean? Where people are taking to the streets, you know what I mean? In violent, or not, it's not even violent protests. And then they have an oppressive government that's council-based, and then halfway through the movie, the colonel takes over and he declares martial law when as Tetsuo starts to gain his powers. Also, one of my favorite scenes in like all of cinema is when they're like, you can't. He busts out of his room and you see his doors all fucked up and he's breathing really heavy. And they're like, two guards and a doctor, and they're like, hey man, you gotta get back in your room. Can't be leaving after curfew's over. And then the lights start to go out, and then they all explode, and they cover the wall with gore. And then the lights come back on, and he's just like walking away, and like there's like hands and feet slowly falling. It's like, it's so satisfying. You just see in context of what happens later, you just see what's going on. You know what I mean? It's great.
It's pretty off the wall.
It's off the wall.
Did anyone? I may be reading too much into it, but in the board meeting, they had one guy who looked a lot like Hitler. He had a little Hitler mustache.
There's a little Hitler going on.
And then there was another. I think what was he? My other problem with the movie is that when you're watching the subtitles.
So your problem is Hitler, or no?
I'm not getting into this one.
Okay.
No, my problem was that because when you're reading the subtitles, you're not really watching the screen a whole lot because you're trying to read what's going on. You kind of forget some characters, and some characters look kind of the same. And
I think that.
And when you have it in Japanese, there's a lot of the character voices are not distinguishable because you don't.
No, I think you're right, but that problem is I think the movie, because when you watch that movie in English for the first time, it's just like, who's talking, what's going on? Because there's that one character. In the gang. There's a lot of people in the gang, but there's really only 4 people who matter. There's Kaneda, Tetsuo, the guy with the little tie, and then the other guy who has like a taped up wrist. You know what I mean? Yeah. And then they have a bunch of other friends. And so you think their girlfriends are gonna matter. The girlfriends don't matter. The guy with the wrist dies off screen. That doesn't matter. You know what I mean? So the movie presents you with a lot of characters, and then some of them are really only important for one scene, but are in multiple scenes. For example, when you first meet the colonel, there's a politician who's saying, hey man, they're coming for your head, they're going to call a meeting, you're going to get resigned, you should resign now so you can keep your blah, 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 blah. And then when they go to that, when they are in that roundtable meeting and they do that to the colonel, he's there and his eyes are closed and he's not even paying attention, and you think that he's going to say something or do something, or later will come back, and that's the last time you see him in the whole movie. Yeah. So the whole movie, they'll introduce characters on a whim and then dismiss them. Like, they introduce all of the guys' girlfriends, and then they dismiss all of them except for Mai, and then you see Mai, and she gets attacked, and you think, okay, that's it for Mai. And you see Mai again in the end, and then she gets squished in the blob, which is the most tragic death in the whole fucking movie.
That thing scarred me as a kid.
Yeah,
That.
She's just like,
it's still just that crunch that it makes, and it's just, yeah, she can't escape and is just flattened by this bulbous mass. It still gives me chills.
Yeah. So I think you're right, but I think that's because this movie is just wickedly dense, and like when people say stuff, you don't know what's really important or if it's accurate. Like this, I've seen this movie a bunch of times, but this is the first time I realized that number 25, the little Esper girl, in the beginning tells the colonel and the scientist, Tetsuo will gain a bunch of power and destroy the city, and I've seen it in the future, and then that happens. You know what I mean? Like I've seen this movie so many times, I don't remember that at all. But in the beginning of the movie, she tells you at the end of the movie, she's like, the city will be destroyed again, a lot of people are gonna die, and it's this guy who's gonna do it. You know what I mean? And I'm like,
I didn't catch that.
yeah, you know what I'm saying? I've been. This is like the maybe the 5th or 6th time I've seen this movie, and I'm like, oh, it's like fucking Romeo and Juliet. They give away the ending in the middle or in the beginning, but you don't know that's important until later. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like looking at the Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band album cover. You just see something new every time you look at it.
Yeah.
Provocative.
What band is this again? The Beatles?
The Beatles.
Oh, interesting.
Little band called The Beatles.
Not a fan.
Out of Liverpool.
Not a big fan of them.
No.
Write me. Don't write me.
At Nerd.
No. Does anyone else have anything to add before we get into nitpicks and awesomes?
Wanted to get back into, we talked about just how brutal this world is.
Oh, fuck. Yeah.
Let's keep going.
Can I interject really quick?
Yeah.
With this, one of the most just casually brutal thing that happens is they're tear gassing the rioters, and everyone's running away, and like you're saying, there's like these really far away shots of people running with gigantic flags and stuff, and then there's a scene of a guy and he has a grenade launcher that shoots like the tear gas, and a guy walks through the mist and he's like coughing and stuff. The guy just points it at him and shoots him right in the chest, and it's just like fucking so brutal and unapologetic.
Well, the one I want to do is when the dog is chasing the Esper and the guy who's trying to save the Esper.
In the beginning.
And it's not just that there's this vicious dog doing it and he shoots the dog. There's this happy little dog food commercial in the background.
Yes, and it cuts between them.
These two little happy cartoon dogs getting their
and
food.
Then hard cut to
as this vicious Rottweiler dog is getting shot.
So in this movie, as crazy as I think I've seen this movie so many times, I forget how crazy it is. They shoot a dog in the head, and then they shoot another dog in the head as it jumps. And it crashes into a car with a little child, and the blood gets all over the windshield, and the child's like,
all while a happy little dog food commercial
is playing in the background.
Crazy.
Matt, would you like to share your favorite violent moment?
I mean, my favorite violent moment was the guy getting the shit beaten out of him in the police station with the grenade. That's probably my favorite violent moment. Fair. But we're talking about the tear gas, it made me think of another thing where when they shoot the tear gas in like the hall, where in a normal thing it would just. A normal movie, animated or whatever, they would shoot tear gas. It would just the pellet would just go straight. But this, like, it bounces a lot. Like, there's so much detail given to little minute things like that, which I think makes the movie that much more crazy and awesome.
Yep. And one more thing
is about not the Mussolini, the caricature of the Japanese guy. Did anyone catch that? No.
Which guy?
It was what is a scientist? I don't know. He had like gray hair. He was like crazy. He face turned all red one.
Oh, he was a politician.
Yeah.
Politician, but
I thought it was interesting. He's the mole for like the resistance in the government, and he kind of looks like a mole.
Yeah, because but I don't know if that was just like that was a satire of the animators being like, this is what Americans thought that Japanese people were like.
Yeah,
I don't know if that has.
I have no insight into that, but it's interesting.
But it's weird because are they bringing up they brought in like the Hitler look-alike in the council meeting, and I swore I saw like a Mussolini type guy in something.
There's a lot of people in that council meeting, including somebody who is falling asleep, which is interesting.
I don't know. I'm even getting a little too off topic here with subtle.
It might be there.
Political.
It might be there. Listeners, check it out. What do you think?
And then the last thing I want to note was I like when Tetsuo uses his powers. It looks like it hurts.
Yes.
Like he's not. So many superhero movies make it look so effortless. Like, Spider-Man's flying around and going, woo! And he's using his powers, and everybody just kind of has their powers. This one really depicts, like, it's almost a curse to have this much power.
Oh, for sure.
And it's like he's in physical pain when he does it.
Yeah.
So I just think that was a really cool detail.
For sure. For sure. Matt, anything else?
No, I think I've done all I could.
So, we're gonna get into nitpicks here. You guys ready? Ready for nitpicks? You got your notes?
Sure.
Matt, you still left your home at, or?
Yeah, there.
All right, so let me bring up the clock here. I should have changed the timer. Okay, it doesn't matter. So, nitpicks begin. 1 minute.
Couple of the names a little too similar. Why have two girls named Mai and Kai?
Yes, I don't.
That was weird.
Roll backward.
Little convoluted plot and structure.
Yeah,
Just a little.
We'll get into that. Also, I'll say the English dub varies in quality. Some characters have really good, like I feel like Kaneda has really good voiceover, but then like some other people are just kind of like, very hammy.
And did I hear the Blu-ray has a new English dub on it? I think I read that somewhere.
Yeah, because the one I watched on YouTube, the dubs, like they were really high pitched and squealy voices, even for the male characters. I'm like, are they just doing that because they're children or they're kids, or just a bad dub? But then I watched the one on Amazon. I was like, oh, this is much better.
Come back.
10 seconds. Anyone else? I got nothing else bad to say about this movie.
Yeah,
I really don't have anything.
Yeah, I think.
But I do. Okay, so let's get rid of this. I do want to talk about the structure. It is an interesting movie where it starts off. It's a biker. It starts off. You have no idea what it's about, but you have the biker gang. Two biker gangs fighting. We understand that. There's a guy taking a little old kid away. Whatever. We go through this whole fucking movie, and then in the end, and then they set up all this stuff, and they make reference to the Big Bang and memories tied to energy and blah blah blah. They go through the Big Bang, and then as memories are tied to energy, now we flash back to Akira and Tetsuo's past, and it's kind of information that probably in a more normal movie would be in the beginning.
Yeah.
But you get it right at the
or
end.
somewhere in the middle at a really pivotal moment.
Right, but you get it after everything is over.
Yep.
Here's some context. You're like, now that it's too late. Yeah.
Like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
But then you realize that like Tetsuo was one of like the psychic kids that they tested, right?
No, Akira is the psychic kid that does it. And Tetsuo was in. His dad gives him up.
Sorry, that was.
Well, the thing is, you don't really learn anything about Akira in this whole fucking movie. I mean, like you learn that there's lots of. Okay, we're gonna just get.
Is he the last Airbender?
Fuck you. You get.
Sorry, didn't mean to throw it out there.
Avatar: The Last Airbender, the cartoon, one of the greatest shows of all television. Avatar: The Last Airbender, and my Shyamalan movie, one of the worst fucking movies of all time. That is not in debate.
On record.
On record. Print it, cut. So, Akira, they make reference to like, power is what you make of it, right? So is the implication that Akira is like Tetsuo, where he goes on a rampage and Tetsuo chooses to use his power for petty revenge and bullying people and lashing back out at the world, and it ends up making a big bang in a new universe. Same thing happened to Akira. So is the implication that Akira is not the happy kid that we kind of see in the flashbacks? It's a weird thing. In the flashbacks, you think that maybe he'd be more angry. But the big reference to the fact that he made bad decisions.
Yeah. We always see him as this very kind of serene figure.
Right.
Like, after the organs come together and create him, and even when he's a kid, just like manipulating the toys in front of him. It's like he's never angry like Tetsuo. Tetsuo is always just like this boiling
rage. About to boil over, yeah. Right. And people give them shit, and all this kind of stuff. Did you think that Akira was going to be in that container? Like, what did you expect when they went and saw that there's this big frozen thing and says Akira on it? What did you think?
I kind of thought it was going to be like his essence, like some sort of like energy, something drained from him, like not like a physical organic manifestation of him, but rather like the essence of Akira, and this is what they're trying to like harness and synthesize.
Yeah, it's been so long I don't remember what I thought.
Yeah, I mean,
probably
I was very young. It was just I was shocked by everything. In it, so why not be shocked by that too?
The amount of blood and guts and people getting shot in the face.
Right. I think probably looking back on it, the movie had you by the balls so much, and you're just like, who knows what's gonna find?
I totally forgot about Tetsuo's image of his guts falling out.
Yeah. You have to scoop them all back in.
That twisted me as a kid.
Giant teddy bears. Like,
oh man, those are scary.
We haven't even scratched the tiny teddy.
There's so much in this movie that you just can't even touch. It's so insane.
Yeah.
Also, the hovercraft dude, like they have the skiffs or whatever.
Yeah. And the sewer.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty.
The dude gets shot. It's just like, so brutal.
And he's flying in the elevator.
I like that too.
I like how he's trying to like it was going on the fritz, and he had to like position himself to like time it to get on it to like
Yeah.
Like, that was really cool.
Yeah, so
Like so much.
this movie rocks, guys.
So much great detail
movie's-
taken into like things you take for
Can't
granted.
wait for Akira too. Gonna team up with Ghost in the Shell. All right, let's do 60 seconds of awesome things really quick. If you got some to say.
I like how.
Wait. Okay, go. Quick.
Ready? Okay. Totally unpredictable. Like I did not know exactly where this movie was going.
Yeah.
And when I went there, I'm like, oh.
Opening titles and music are just absolutely delicious.
Music all around good, and it's mostly percussion and voices.
Good use of animation techniques, making the city the depth, the layers of the city kind of spread apart. Good animation techniques.
I feel like this movie does a really good job of depicting rebellious youth and kind of justifying why they are the way they are. You know, it's like they live in this terrible world and their parents gave them all up and they're just like a bunch of rats. You know what I mean?
Yep. Huge scope.
Yes.
That I feel only animation could capture.
Yes. Great framing and composition.
Yeah, shot like a movie. I really like that. Also, yeah, when it hits hard. Destruction and explosions just at 5 seconds.
Just I mean.
Yeah, it's over.
Never get it.
Beep. No.
Creepy.
It's like a
You guys,
demon Jack in the Box in the pop.
Yeah, for sure. You guys got anything else?
I think you summed it up.
Yeah,
just a seminal film.
Yeah.
Definitely changed my taste in movies. You know, just really made me understand like the kind of stories you can tell with this medium.
Sounds good. Well, I got some questions here, and we'll wrap it, and then we'll be done.
Great.
That good?
Yeah,
you guys,
good.
You can still into it. This movie's heavy, bro. You might need a sandwich and a nap afterwards. It is tough. We kind of already we kind of already talked about what happened to Akira in Tokyo. You know, like did he go down a bad path? Tokyo, original Tokyo, was sucked into a new universe, just like Neo Tokyo was at the end of this one.
Yep.
That's kind of whatever.
Neo Tokyo. I love that name.
Neo Tokyo. Sick. Do you think this movie's too unwieldy?
How do you mean?
It just does whatever it wants to do, right? You can't. It's structured oddly. It's just, you know what I mean? Like it's not helping you at all. You know, you got to go to it. You know what I mean? Is that the wrong decision?
I think not with this story. I think it was, you know, again, it speaks more to just how big the world is, and you know they're tackling these huge concepts. You can't keep that like a 3-act structure. I don't think they're just trying. I don't want to say they're trying to do too much. They're just doing this massive amount with what they have, and I think you can't really rein something like that in with making it accessible to people.
And the only thing I would add to that, and I agree completely, is that the execution of that is like you could have that on paper, and that's one thing, but they executed it, and that's what makes it work. You know what I mean?
From a 2,000-page manga,
yeah, which was not completed,
which was not completed when they finished it. So it's, you know,
yeah, as we said minutes ago when we introduced this movie.
Yeah, I think its unwillingness fits with the movie because it's you're not getting you're getting a story arc, but it's not like so unwieldy. You know what I mean? Sort of. I don't know.
So you're saying it's not too unwieldy?
No, it's not too unwieldy.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it works because you're just dealing with the craziness of an event that's happening right now.
Right. It's interesting. There's lots of mystery in this movie. You know, like one, what the fuck's going on, and two, once you find out what's going on, when you think back on it, like so, Akira is responsible for the destruction of Tokyo, but they have his body and they vivisect it basically, right? So they have like his brainstem and all of his guts and stuff. But then Tetsuo turns into a gigantic fleshy baby monster and then gets sucked into his own black hole. But we know that Akira went to his new universe. So what do you guys make of that? You know what I mean? Like,
think of that. It's
Is that what happened?
what you know what I'm saying? Like when Tetsuo gets sucked into his new black hole, or I keep saying black hole, but it's a new universe. His whole body goes in there. There's nothing left of him.
yeah.
Tetsuo. He goes.
Tetsuo!
There's kind of the imagery while the credits roll of like atoms forming.
Right.
Though.
But with Akira, they have his body.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like, it's a weird thing of like, the movie gives you answers, but it really gives you a lot more questions too. Like, you really don't know what happens in that opening scene.
No.
You know what I mean?
I don't know what to make of that.
And then like the Espers talk about how they don't want to go to the new universe, but then they sacrifice themselves to save Kaneda, you know, but they don't really, they know that they'll be trapped if they go, but they want to be back with Akira. It's very strange. It's like, it really gives you this little, it's like, again, like fucking Star Wars. They give you this, they allude to all this shit that happened in the past, but they give you none of it. You know what I mean?
I think the one kid is the most tortured by his powers. The kid we see in the beginning.
Who tries to escape.
Yeah, who tries to escape.
There's Fatty in the suit, in the flying Professor X thing, and then there's a little girl, and then there's the other one.
Yeah, then the other one, he has a name, I forget what it is off the top of my head, but I think he's the most tortured by his powers, and when he says in the movie, like, Canada didn't do anything. Like, he just got roped into this, and I think he's willing to sacrifice himself and kill himself to save one more innocent person.
Right.
So I think that, again, yet another big, heady moment in this movie. This child Esper is willing to just give everything up to save one person. Because the power is that big.
Yeah.
Heady. Dark.
Let's all just look at Matt and wait for him to talk.
I don't know what to say about it.
Great. Moving on. I mean, I think all these other questions I have here, we've really addressed it. Although, we talked about there's a faith, science, military thing going on, but I don't think there's really answers to that question of like what like they all recognize this power. Some people worship it. Some people want to control it. Some people want to study it, but everyone gets killed. So I don't think they're giving you any answers with that. And there's like a thing of people, Tetsuo is very angry and power corrupts him with his anger, blah, 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 blah. So, I mean, there's not really any answers that we can really give on any of this. We've touched on all of that, but
it doesn't promote any point of view. It's just, we're all just in this thing and we can all die at any moment.
But
I felt like there wasn't like a side to side on. It was all just like, they're doing their thing, and they're doing their thing, and you're not really like, oh, I'm rooting for that person. You might be rooting for like,
well, you don't spend any time with the religion, so you're not really rooting for them.
Right.
But between science and government and the gang, it's like, who knows what's gonna happen, bro?
Like, because they're all pretty much just doing terrible shit. And,
Yep.
So there is no perspective point of view.
I guess my last question would be, before I ask if you guys ultimately like this movie, is why do you think it's called Akira?
I mean, he's the catalyst for everything that happens in it. If he didn't destroy Tokyo in 1988, we wouldn't be where we are in the movie.
Solid answer.
Yeah, I mean, it's talking about the entity that set these events in motion. Mm-hmm. He is responsible. It is.
Every action revolves around him too. Like the biker gang gets sucked into the world of Akira, or like the people that are trying to bring him back or study him or destroy him, like whatever, they get sucked in. Everything revolves around a few jars of organs.
Yep. Few frozen jars of organs. All right. So I agree. I mean, yeah, Akira is the power is kind of references like, it's Akira's power, but it's like the power in all of us. It's a very universal title for the movie.
Yeah.
Everything goes back to him. Everything starts with him.
I mean, what else would you call it?
Yeah, well, that's the thing, right? It's like
it's you can't think of anything else to.
Also,
how else would you label this?
Right?
The capsules.
but yeah, exactly. Before we wrap this up, just the idea that someone would have the balls to fucking try to make this remake this, anything, remake this, make a sequel, make a live action adaptation of it. To me, is complete insanity. Yep. This thing is on such a different fucking level. It'd be like trying to remake a David Lynch movie. It's like, bro, you're not even close. You know what I mean? Not Blue Velvet, but like one of the weirder ones. You know what I mean?
Big budget Eraserhead.
Yeah, big budget Eraserhead. It's like, dude, like you've already lost. So,
I mean, there's everything about it is inherently Japanese. There's not really anything. I mean, there's themes that are universal, but for the most part, the style, the aesthetic, everything about it is pretty much of Japan. So I think that if you try to do an American take, a lot is lost because you don't have the culture and the mythology.
Yeah.
But
I think even more than that, it's such a mystery. Like, you only get this sliver of this story. You know what I mean? They destroy the fucking city at the end, and then they all drive off in the sunset. But this, now they gotta does this trigger another world war? Like, how are they going to rebuild this shit? All the corruption, all the people already didn't have any jobs. Their economy was all. It's just like, you know what I mean? Like,
And what kind of universe is Tetsuo gonna create? You know, he's gonna create a universe,
yeah.
a whole nother one.
Yep. All right, so let's just wrap this up and get out of here. Did you like this movie and does it work?
I like the movie. It works for what it is. I think that you just, you have to watch it, another time. But if you're trying to comprehend it the first time, it's not going to work.
Takes multiple viewings.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, this movie is great. It's seminal. It's brutal. It's epic. It's huge. It makes you think. And it looks like nothing that's ever been produced before, even in an anime world.
Yeah, I think even if you don't like this movie, you have to. It is completely its own thing. You know what I mean? It's its own Blade Runner. It's its own Star Wars. It's its
I'll even
own.
touch on the Blade Runner influence.
Well, I'm saying, but it's like
The cyberpunk and
I guess this movie. When did this movie come out?
88.
88.
88, and when
Blade
did it-
Runner's 82.
Alright, so I guess it did influence. But I'm saying it's its own whole thing. I mean, it has its own view on stuff. Little things they touch on it, like they're talking about the bikes. They're talking about, at 12,000 RPM, it has 200 horsepower, and if you fall blind, you know what I mean? They're just talking, like, everything in this universe feels like it's in its whole thing. It's like, if you make it's just, you know what I mean? You could just jump in here, and it's all fleshed out. It's just nuts. So, I feel like I have to respect it. Even if I didn't like it, which I do love it, I'd have to respect it for just being this fully formed, crazy fucking thing. You know what I mean? And, someone really dared to dream on this one. It's huge.
Dare to dream, kids.
And I would say, don't remake it, but if you will, I will see that trailer. I will watch that trailer. At the very least, I'll give you that.
And judge it accordingly.
Yeah.
Just give me the trailer.
I'll fucking go see it.
Do you really want to see two grown men?
No, I don't.
Tetsuo! Get it out!
So you're saying you don't want to see Zack Snyder?
I just don't want to see any. I mean, like, Zack Snyder aside, I don't want to see anyone try to adapt this. I will watch if anyone has the fucking balls to do it. I'll watch your trailer, but I don't want to see anyone try to remake this. And I think Keanu Reeves is going to be in it at one point. They want to age it up. It's just like it's perfect the way it is.
No, you need Willow Smith and I guess Haley Joel Osment's too.
Wait, who's Will Smith going to play? The girl? Kai?
Who cares?
Okay.
They'll just throw him. They'll throw which one? That's a girl, right?
Yeah.
Oh.
Jaden's the boy.
James. You give them abstract names. I'm not gonna know their gender.
Racist. Abstract names. Willow. It's not. It's not like a fucking Jackson Pollock motherfucker. It's a flower.
Stupid name.
Oh, okay. So that takes us out of here. Will Smith will not be guesting on our podcast next week. But anyone want to promote anything? Speaking Cinema on Twitter. You email us. Whatever. Don't email us. Just hit us up on Twitter if you want
At
to.
Speaking Cinema.
At Speaking Cinema. Anyone else have anything you want to plug your Instagrams? No.
No.
Okay.
I'm
Don't
sorry,
do
Will
it.
Smith.
Independence Day was great. I'm sorry.
I mean, it was alright.
All right.
Bad Boys 2.
I got nothing. Go on. If you haven't seen Akira, I hope this.
Yeah, definitely watch Akira.
Spurred your curiosity.
And also, this is a movie that you could probably buy and watch every 5 years and get something. As you change as a person, this movie will change with you. It's a crazy movie. Definitely worth a watch.
Yes. I think next time I'll try to watch it dubbed, not subtitles.
Yeah. All right.
Try and watch it when you're like 8 or 9. Like,
If you know a child, show this movie.
Or many listeners who are children.
Yeah. All right.
Sweet demographic, 8 to 10-year-olds.
Terrible. All right. See you guys later. See you next time.
Yes.
Lax Action Hero.
Coming up next week, year,
2 weeks,
2 weeks.
month.
Who cares?
Do it. I mean, maybe you're catching up on these later. Maybe you're gonna watch it in like 5 minutes.
maybe you're in
This is in 5 minutes.
maybe you're in Tetsuo's universe, and these just got to
Yeah,
you.
just got you. Or maybe you're in a far-flung future, and podcasts are a relic of the ancient times.
Like Game Boys and waffle irons.
Waffle irons. Let's go get some waffles, guys.
Wherever you are, keep it real.
Let's see you
Yes.
there.
That was pretty wacky.
We're recording. Everyone ready?
Throw.
All right.
Ready to go.
3, 2, 1. Welcome.